clapped out. The island of Sodor was flourishing. In addition to tourists, many people were making their homes in the developing communities. To meet demand, Sir Topham Hatt added more coaches to the express. The big engines were pleased, all except James. One morning, James arrived at the big station to collect a slow goods train. He eyed the waiting express at the next platform. It seemed to stretch on for miles. A horn interrupted his thoughts as Boko rolled alongside. "Morning, James. Come to wish me good luck, have you?" "Looks like you'll need it," replied James. "Don't the extra coaches give you trouble?" "I was worried they would, especially on the hill. Driver knows better, though. He gives me plenty of speed beforehand, and we coast along." James glanced at the coaches again. A feeling of dread washed over him. "Is everything all right?" inquired Boko. "Oh, yes," James replied hastily. "Right as rain. Must be off. These freight cars won't pull themselves, you know. Best of luck, Boko." James hurried away. Boko was stunned. Something's not right, he thought. Something wasn't right. For as cocky as James could be, he wasn't blind to his own limits. On level ground, he could pull long trains with ease. The gradients, however, proved challenging, and he knew they would now be harder than ever. It soon came time for James's first run with the new express. He simmered silently at the platform, thinking of nothing but the hill. Before he knew it, the conductor's whistle blew. Come along," he puffed determinedly to the coaches. "Give it all you've got, James," hooted Boko from a nearby siding. Out on the main line, the train picked up speed. James began to feel better. But all too soon, Edward Station loomed in the distance. I can do it, he puffed to himself. James tore through the station and began the ascent up Gordon's Hill. It didn't take long to feel the drag of the heavy coaches, and soon he'd slowed to a crawl. I must do it, he strained. "Steady on, James," cautioned the driver. "We can call for a banker if need be." "I'll get over this hill if it's the last thing I do," gritted James. "It just might be, with how he's carrying on," the fireman muttered grimly. Slowly but surely, James and the coaches crested the top of the hill. He was relieved but exhausted, and struggled to get the train back up to speed. When he finally hissed into the last station, he was 10 minutes late, and the passengers were ornery. When he returned to the sheds, his driver spoke to him. "I think the express proved too much for us today," he sighed. "Pah!" snorted James. "We made it over the hill, didn't we?" "Only just," replied the driver sternly. "You'll damage yourself at this rate, and if the passengers keep complaining like they did today, we won't be heading it much longer." "I can pull it just as well as the others," James retorted defiantly, "and I'll be on time tomorrow. Mark my words." The driver admitted defeat as James shut his eyes. Unknown to either of them, Boko had heard everything. The next day, James was coasting along the line again. The coaches hummed happily, but he paid no mind to them. Won't be late, he grunted. Once again, Edward Station appeared, and the signal showed line clear. "Give it all you've got, old boy," encouraged the driver, and he opened the regulator. James gathered speed and charged at the hill, but his efforts were for naught. Once more, the coaches dragged him to a near standstill. His wheels spun, but he couldn't get a proper grip. Then, bang! James was enveloped in a cloud of steam. His driver and fireman staggered out of the cab, coughing hoarsely. "That's torn it! We'll need help now." Help soon arrived, in the form of Boko. "Are you all right?" he asked, concerned. James didn't answer. He just looked sadly at his buffers. Boko hastily coupled up and pulled the train all the way to the last station. Despite his best efforts to make up time, the express still arrived late. The passengers were furious and complained bitterly to the station master. "I have places to be," grumbled one man. "I thought this was an express. That scrawny engine isn't getting us anywhere fast," added a woman. "If that clapped-out thing can't get us here on time," finished an elderly man, pointing at James, "I shan't ride on this railway any longer." The waiting mainland diesel snickered, but a glare from Boko silenced him, and he scuttled away once the passengers were on board. "Ignore them," Boko smiled. "I know you did your best today." "Yes," sighed James, "but it seems my best wasn't good enough." The passenger's words echoed in his smokebox. For the first time, James truly felt clapped out.